Hi everybody. As you know, my name is Maddie Zarina Whitfield and I'm going to do Captivating Conversations live. Today we're going to be talking about double standard domestic abuse and what that looks like, and if you're being abused or could be abused or could possibly be the person doing the abusing. Hi, welcome to Captivating Conversations. Today we're going to be talking about double standard domestic violence. What does that look like? How do you know if you're in a domestic violence relationship, or how do you know if you're possibly the person that's abusing other people? Double standard domestic violence is domestic violence that's coming from a woman to a man. Normally when we talk about domestic violence, we're always talking about the woman being abused by the man and how could he do that to her and why would he put his hands on her and why do you talk to her like that? But one of the things that's never really talked about is a woman abusing a man. Why does she talk to him like that? Why can she put her hands on him? Why is it okay for her to call him out of his name and he just has to accept it? So those are some of the taboo subjects that we're going to talk about, and some of the subjects that most people just kind of brush off, and why the men stay silent, why some of the men don't even recognize that they're in a domestic violence relationship, why they don't even know that they don't deserve to be treated like that. Nobody does. And why is it okay for society to brush that off? But if the situation was reversed, we would tell her, how dare you stay with him? Girl, you're better than him. You have to love yourself more. You have to adore yourself more. Why would you give yourself to a man that abuses you? Well, why would you give yourself to a woman that abuses you? Why would you give yourself to a woman that does not honor you? Why would you give yourself to a woman who doesn't even know that she's abusing you? And sometimes women, you don't know. Sometimes you're using your words and you're attacking, and you really don't know that you're really beating this man down emotionally and verbally, and you are an abuser. So let's get into it. I don't have my iPad because I'm going live. It's actually going live for us. So let's get started. So let's talk about what actually is domestic standard abuse, the official definition for it. So when you look at the basic domestic standard that is present in our world, it's kind of sexist on both sides. One being that people automatically think that no woman is strong enough to harm a man. So any man weak enough to be harmed by a woman isn't a real man, and he's supposed to be funny. They laugh it off. How you gonna let a woman beat you up? How you gonna let a woman do that and you actually complaining? Man, get out of here. You tougher than that. She's just a woman. The men's injuries are dismissed as amusing instead of apparent broken bones, cuts, and actual hurts, injuries. Women are often considered inherently nonviolent as well as morally superior to men. Therefore, anytime a woman hits a man, he must have done something to deserve it. Now, the interesting part about that is I was talking with my mom about my show, and we were talking about domestic violence to a man, and I told her what I was going to bring up, and she was like, well, a man had to have done something to get hit. He must have did something. What'd he do? Think about that. Now, if it was reversed and he hit her, the first question, the first thing that's coming out of people's mouth is not, what did she do? It's, he shouldn't have done that. So why is it a double standard when she hits him? Oh, he did something to deserve that. Well, nobody really deserves to be hit, male or female. So why is it okay for one to do something but the other one just doesn't deserve to be hit? No. And what they actually think about is, because a woman is sweet, innocent women, how could they ever be violent to anyone unless they were seriously provoked? That's not true. Physical abuse is rarely done from women to men. However, when emotional abuse is present, sometimes it's hard to notice that one is being abused or being the abuser. Now, how women can be abuser. So for ladies that you may not even know that you're actually abusing your man or abusing a man in your life, I'm going to give some definitions and just some quick scenarios of how you can be abusing someone. So what that looks like when being done to a man. One is the lack of respect and disrespectful words. Are you ever going to be a man? Won't you man up? What does that mean? I mean, how respectful is that to tell him that? How does he deserve for you to say that to him? Discouraging words. You ain't shit. You ain't never gonna be shit. You can't do that. I told you couldn't do that. All of that. Belittling him in private, in public. You ain't nothing more than... All of those words are abusive. Lack of belief in his ability. You know you can't do that. I don't know why you even tried. I told you that wasn't going to work. Lack of trust. Constantly belittling him. In front of his friends, in front of your friends, in front of family. Controlling and denial. Punishing him or controlling with intimacy. Withholding sex as a form of manipulation. Petty criticisms. Why didn't you make your bed? Why did you make it like that? Why didn't you do this like this? Why didn't you? Little bitty things to constantly nick and nack at him, especially when you know that he's not saying anything back because he's became so silent and so docile to you constantly picking at him. Emasculating him. You ain't no man. My last man did this. A real man does this. All of those are different ways of how emotional and verbal abuse can look. And some of the things that you can say. And some of them I just said out of anger. But if it was reversed and he was talking to her in public like that, and that was something that her friends heard or another public member heard, family member, it would automatically be, baby girl, you shouldn't be with him. He shouldn't talk to you like that. So why doesn't anyone tell him, baby boy, a man don't allow his woman to talk to him like that. And that don't mean check her, beat her, or do something to her. That means love yourself enough to leave. Respect yourself enough not to be bothered with her. Because she doesn't respect you, nor does she love you talking to you like that. So, some of the ways that men react. Ladies, check and see if your man has done some of these things. Hey, maybe you might be a person that's being an abuser. Avoiding coming home because he just doesn't want to walk on eggshells. Everything that he does is wrong. Everything that he says is wrong. So he comes home later and later at night. He works later and later at night. And this may not necessarily be because he's out with somebody else. This just means he just doesn't want to be at home with you because you're always saying something negative to him, belittling him, finding the little petty things you're not loving. Becoming silent to avoid confrontation. Just checking out. So every time you all have an argument, he may say a few things and then he just completely checks out. And then yours is, why are you so silent? Why don't you never say anything? Because he's checked out. That's his way of coping. That's his way of dealing with you. Naturally, men are stronger. And a lot of men know naturally they're stronger. Some of them, to hold their aggression and to make sure that they don't do anything to you, they get silent. They pull back. They get quiet. That's checking out. Exploding. From holding in the frustrations and actually sweeping them under the rug. So let's look at this example. And I love this example. Consider a rug. A rug is flat. You constantly abusing, belittling, disrespecting, talking about him. And that rug just keeps growing and keeps growing. And now you got a nice little hump in this rug. Well, naturally in any rug, when you keep walking over it and you keep going through and you walk, you're going to trip. Right? You can't walk flat on a rug that has a bump. You're going to trip over it. Something's going to fall. So now he's been sweeping everything that you've been doing under the rug. He's been sweeping the abuse, the belittling, the talking about him, the disrespecting him in front of his friends, disrespecting him in front of his family, not complimenting, that's what you should be doing, talking about everything that he does. It's a criticism. No matter what he does, he can't do anything right. So that rug is getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, and that hump, and he eventually trips over it. And that's when he explodes through his frustration. That's a form of reacting to abuse. The next one is infidelity. He goes out and he finds someone who doesn't talk to him like that, who doesn't treat him like that. She encourages him. She loves on him. You know the story. He finds someone to help him feel like a man. And we all kind of laugh at that and we look bad at that. But one of the things that we must do is find out, what part did we play in that? What could I have said differently? What could I have done differently? Maybe I am abusing him. Would I really like for him to talk to me like that? No, I'm not going to tolerate him talking to me like that. That's where you would jump to. So why do you talk to him like that? Because he did this. No. Nobody ever deserves to be talked to like that. It's abuse. Period, point blank. And there's a double standard with it that we all are very silent about, that we act like doesn't exist when it happens to a man. I've talked to plenty of men who say they've been in relationships for 8-9 years of the woman just constantly abusing them, and they didn't recognize it. They didn't know. They still trying to love on her. They still trying to do their best, but they didn't even know that they were being abused. See, we talk about a woman and how could you stay with him for that long, and why didn't you leave? Well, men stay long too because they love them. They don't know that they're being abused. They don't know that they're not supposed to be talked to like that. They don't know that love doesn't look like that. It does not look like that at all. Period. Now, I also want to talk to the ladies about a subject that's actually near and dear to me. What it looks like when you're abusing young men and boys. Now, I am the mother of a son and a daughter. So I have actually cringed when I saw some parents talking to their children. Because our children are us. I go out and I love when people can see the strength and the beauty and the mannerism and the love in my children. Because those are characteristics that I have given my children. And it comes out. So when we look at kids and they're acting bad and they're acting out and there's no love, no compassion, just broken at such a young age, 9, 10, 11. You only been in this world 11 years and you have so much going on. Well, they could be victims of abuse too. I used to work at a school and everybody at my school was diagnosed with something. ADD, disruptive behavior, you name the acronym, they had it. But the problem was, it came from home. So let's talk about how you abuse young men, how you abuse boys from the time that they're growing up to high school. Growing up, middle school, high school, to men who become accustomed to being talked to like that. So now they're used to it because their mama used to talk to them like that. So when you tell them, you just like your damn daddy, what does that mean? How is he like his daddy? He's a completely different person. Why are you talking negative to him about his dad? Why are you abusing your own flesh and blood? You ain't gonna be shit just like your daddy. You can't do nothing right. I tell you to go do this and you always messing up. You're instilling all of these negative belief patterns. Not believing in himself, lack. So that's why all the things that he needed to build his self-esteem, he acts out in school. He's looking for attention. Because you know how the teacher used to send home a letter and say, well, if you give your child enough attention at home, he wouldn't be trying to get it at school. That's not just attention of being with him and doing activities. It's in your words. It's in what you speak over him. It's in what you say over him. You should be raising him like a king. You should be raising him like a prince. So when you talk to him, even if he did it wrong, let him know he did it wrong, but never, ever abuse that young man with your words. You are raising our future men. You are raising our future kings. Now, I'm not saying be light on him, because by no means am I light on my son. My son works. My son actually cleans up around the house. He understands what a provider is. He understands what love is. He's being raised as a king. But I have never spoken down to my son. I have never put him in a place to shut down. Put him in a place where he didn't believe. I believed in him. Those things are very important, ladies. Don't say anything to your son that you wouldn't allow somebody else to say to him. Period. If it's not good for somebody else to say it, you don't say it. Because your words matter more than anybody else's to him. You are the first person to believe in him. You are the first person to build him. So with your boys, with your sons, with other young men around you, hey, future prince. Hey, future king. What do you want to be? An entrepreneur? I know you can do that. Basketball player, football player, whatever it is, even if they suck. I mean, like, let's just be real. Sometimes they really suck. But so what? Tell them they are amazing anyway. Tell them they're fantastic anyway. Speak life into them. Life or death, one or the other. Don't abuse them. Now, dead silence. Let's talk about that. Why do men keep quiet when they're being abused? For one, they may not necessarily know it. It's not something apparent that everybody just knows what abuse looks like. What I did do was on my website, mzwhitfield.com, I actually put a questionnaire where you can ask questions of things that occur in your relationship to actually see if you're being abused. Then you can actually go onto the site. It's a PDF. It's downloadable to look at what abuse looks like. And I got these resources from somebody. I actually cited the young lady. She took her time. She's a doctor. And she listed all of the different ways that you can look like you're being abused as a man. So check that out so you can really find out. Now, the dead silence of why men keep quiet. For one, men are supposed to be tough, right? Therefore, he could be ashamed of actually admitting that he's been hurt by a woman. And the reality of that is there are so many men. There are so many men that have been hurt and bruised and broken by women that'll never admit it because they're supposed to be a man. You're supposed to be tough. Tough doesn't mean you don't have feelings. Tough doesn't mean that you're not human. Tough doesn't make abuse right. Other men will think them to be soft. You a pussy. Ain't no man gonna complain about that. Hey, brush that off, man. No. You need to let her know what she's doing to you. Because when you don't, you hold it in. That can have an absolutely adverse effect on you. Feminist women, like that, right? Feminist women will find fault in him and make him the monster. So what that looks like is when women say, well, she only did that because he did this. He had to have done something to her. She would never go off on him like that. I wonder what he did. Maybe he didn't do anything. Or maybe he did do something. But does that mean that he's not a human being and he deserves to be abused because he did something? Come on. Let's just really think about that. Does being a man mean that you can take being abused? Does being a man mean, hey, let her talk to you like shit? Is that what being a man is? No. No, that's not what being a man is. Protector, provider, lover, friend. Those are some of the definitions of a man. Not take her shit. Let her talk to you like stuff. Let her slap you. Let her belittle you in public. Let her tell your friends you ain't shit, so when they come up to you, they, look at him. That's abuse. Period. If it's done to a woman or done to a man, it's wrong. Period. Now, it can have effects. We see these effects every day, all day. His confidence is lowered. Doesn't believe in himself and the things that he's able to accomplish. Depression. There are a lot of people walking around here with depression. That's why Zoloft commercials and other things like that on TV are so prevalent, because you're depressed. I mean, medication, fine. The doctor industry is beautiful. People go to school. They're magnificent at the things that they do. But sometimes we kind of need to get to the root of the problem. You kind of need to find out what's going on. And if abuse is one of them, you need to cut it off at the head. A hard time loving future women. Trust. He doesn't trust a woman with his heart anymore. Now, I'm a firm believer that men don't heal, they hoe. So if he's not healing, he's probably hoeing. Ladies, isn't that what you're always complaining about? He talked to too many girls. He do too much of this. He do too much of that. Well, what part did we play in that? How many men have you disrespected? How many men have you abused? Step into his shoes and find out why he's probably like the way he is. That's where real compassion comes in. That's where you're able to look at somebody else for what they've been through. Because you never know somebody's story. You don't know how long he endured that relationship. He may need to be loved back to life. Period. Disrespectful to other women. A potential future abuser. So that's where the hurt people come in at. We have situations all the time where people are walking around here hurt, never dealing with their healing, never actually speaking life into themselves and dealing with their root issue, and they go on and hurt other people. That's how it starts. So that could be why he is where he is. So basically, I wanted to bring this subject up because I have a lot of men who tell me, on my last video, the guy said that some of the domestic violence, because that's what it is. That's calling it what it is. It's domestic violence to men. Domestic violence to men. That is what it is. Emotional and verbal abuse is domestic violence. So I've had a lot of men tell me it needs to stop. It really needs to stop. We look at videos, we look at people that are in our face, and we try to wonder, how could he hit her? What did he do? Well, how many times do you sit and let a person just outright disrespect you and hit you and abuse you before you just snap? Really? He's human. Period. You have no idea how many years it's been going on, how many times she's done it, what atmosphere she's done it in. Ladies, this is not me saying you shouldn't do and coming down at you. This is me pointing out that some women don't even know. Some women don't even know that they're being abusers. Some women don't even know what you're doing and the effects that you're causing for the man that's even in your house. The young man that's in your house. How you're speaking to him. How the long-term effects of what is going on with him. You've taken part in making that happen. Again, on my website, it's a questionnaire and a summary of what it looks like. Domestic violence has to stop for everybody. Not just women, not just men. Most men know they don't need to run to a shelter because the woman is after them. But they are emotionally abused. And mind you, there are some crazy women out here. So, men, when you meet her, man, she got some stuff to show you. You better pay attention. If she tracking every move you making and all this good stuff, you might not want to be bothered with that. If she cussing at everybody else around you, disrespecting the other men around you, you might want to take a second look and just be like, I don't know if I want to deal with this. But it's unacceptable. It doesn't work. It's not in love. It's not something that we should allow from any gender. So Thank you for tuning in to Captivating Conversations. My name is Maddie Zarina Whitfield, and I do this every single Tuesday. Yes, today is Wednesday. I had serious technical difficulties yesterday, but thank you very much for tuning in with me today. See you soon. Smooches.